Now we get to the non-actionable containers. Now, just because it's not actionable doesn't mean it's not important. In fact, some of your most valuable ideas, notes, and other files will be stored in your non-actionable containers. In this course, we'll be using Evernote for both project plans and reference material. In an upcoming project step, I'll show you how to keep them organized. And of course, you want to be able to refer to your reference material wherever you are using Evernote Mobile. Project Step 11 is to combine all of your project notebooks in Evernote into a projects stack and all of your areas into an area stack. Let me show you what I mean. So far, we've created notebooks for each one of our projects and for each one of our areas, but as you can see, it's kind of a big jumble, so let's get a little bit more organized. First of all, go ahead and click the other view up here in the top right-hand corner. This way we can see more notebooks at one time. So in Evernote, if you get a notebook, such as this one, and drag it onto another notebook, it creates what is called a stack. A stack is just a collection of notebooks. If you click the stack, you can rename it, and let's go ahead and create a stack called Projects. What I'd like you to do now is one by one, click and drag each one of your project notebooks onto this stack. Okay, looks like we're finished. Now let's do the exact same thing with our areas. So I'm going to get this notebook, drag it onto another one, click on the stack, and call it Areas. Then, one by one, I can drag each one of the area notebooks onto the new stack. After you create stacks for areas and for projects, there's a couple optional stacks that you can create. Now, let's say that you have a few notebooks that are topic specific. For example, UX design resources, or presentation design, or crowdfunding, programming. Now, these aren't directly related to any project or area, but they're good to keep around. So I'm going to drag one on top of another and create a new stack called Resources. All of your topic-specific notebooks can go into this stack. The fourth stack that you can create is, let's say you have a couple projects that are now finished. Let's say the industry conference and the business trip to China. You can create a fourth stack called Archives by putting all of your finished or inactive projects together and calling it Archives. This way you can keep track of those notes and all those files without keeping it in your active projects stack. Just to finish cleaning up, let's go ahead and close each of these stacks by double-clicking on them. Then, just because we want to keep everything very neat, let's put numbers at the beginning of the stack titles, like a 1 in front of projects, a 2 in front of areas, a 3 in front of resources, a 4 in front of archives, and for the original notebook that was created when you installed Evernote, let's rename it to Inbox. This is where things will go when you don't specify which notebook to put them into. To make sure that things go there automatically, let's go to Evernote Preferences, and here in the General tab, you'll see that you can select a default notebook. Let's change this to Inbox and close. You might have some information in here from earlier when we processed non-actionable items. So what you can do now is, let's change the view to make it into a list. We can close this. And let's move these now into the appropriate folders that we created. You can do that by right-clicking on them, go to Move to Notebook, and selecting which one it should go into. So I'm going to say Fixing Bike. This one I'm going to say move to strategic planning. And this one can go into developer hire. And there you go. Now you have a very minimalist and simple filing system with stacks containing all of your active projects, all of your areas, all of your topics of interest, and inactive projects. The cool thing about having such a simple filing system is that you can use it everywhere. For example, you can organize your documents folder this way. You can see I have folders for each one of my projects. You can organize your Dropbox or other cloud storage the same way. You can even do this in Google Docs or another tool that you use across your different projects. Instead of having a completely different folder system in each one of your apps and drives, use a unified system that cuts across all of them. And of course, we still have some things on paper, so you're going to need a physical version of your reference material, which can be any kind of file box or file cabinet. Someday Maybe is for ideas, projects, creative imaginings that you may want to act on someday. This is your time to really get imaginative and creative and think of all the different possibilities. This can be books to read, wine to taste, trips to take, people to meet, experiences to have. You can see additional resources for a full list. Even if some of these projects seem kind of far-fetched or like fantasies, just identifying and capturing these possibilities in a system makes them more likely to happen even without your conscious effort. We talk so much about efficiency and productivity, but Someday Maybe is really your chance to be as imaginative and crazy as possible. In Things, there's a special section here on the left called Someday. We'll be using this as your Someday Maybe container. Projects here are inactive, but they can become active at any time. In Todoist, the Someday container is all the tasks that you labeled at Someday earlier in the course. You can bring up all of these at once by typing in at Someday, hitting enter, and Todoist will show you all of the different tasks across your projects that you've applied this label to. For project step number 12, go ahead and select your containers for project list, project plans, waiting for, calendar, next actions, reference, and Someday Maybe. If you've been following along with me step by step, we've already selected and set up all of these containers, but if you haven't, now is the time. See the curated GTD resources I linked to in Unit 2 for some ideas of tools you can use. I know this can seem like a lot of different containers to manage, but really, 4 of these containers are covered by a task manager like Things, 2 of them are covered by Evernote, and the last one is covered by your calendar program, so you don't really have to juggle a dozen different programs. To see this in a more visual way, of the 7 containers that we have around the perimeter of the diagram, every single one is covered by one of these 3 programs. In Unit 5, we'll be moving on to Phase 4, Review.